A young cuckoo hatches quietly in a nest somewhere in the English countryside, sometime in early summer, entirely alone with its unrelated foster parents raising it. Its actual biological parents left for distant Africa weeks earlier, long before it even hatched. It has never once met them. It has no one at all to follow south. And yet, entirely alone and completely on its own, it will eventually fly thousands of miles to a specific wintering ground it has genuinely never once seen. And remarkably, it will actually find that exact wintering ground with real precision. This has been documented and confirmed over and over again across many different migratory bird species. This is not simply luck. It genuinely cannot be luck. The sheer distances and precision involved rule that possibility out completely. It is instead a stack of several separate, entirely independent navigation systems layered carefully on top of one another, each one actively checking the others. The first system involved is a magnetic sense. Birds appear to perceive the Earth's magnetic field quite directly, functioning as a genuine physical sense. The leading proposed mechanism involves a specific light-sensitive protein called cryptochrome, found within specialized cells located directly inside the bird's own eye. When light strikes this particular protein directly, it triggers a genuine quantum chemical reaction known as the radical pair mechanism. This underlying reaction is directly sensitive to the precise angle of the magnetic field itself, effectively letting the bird perceive it visually in real time. Some researchers genuinely believe migratory birds may literally see the magnetic field as a faint visual overlay layered directly onto their normal field of vision. This gives migrating birds a working compass, a reliable sense of direction. But a compass alone never tells you exactly where you actually are located right now. The magnetic field also varies quite subtly in both overall strength and precise angle across the entire globe, forming a kind of coarse, low-resolution positional map too. Now the second system at work here, young birds also inherit a star compass of sorts, learned specifically during a brief critical developmental window inside the nest. The American ornithologist Stephen Emlen demonstrated this directly and quite elegantly using a custom planetarium and captive indigo bunting birds. Young birds raised experimentally under a carefully rotating artificial night sky reliably learned to orient themselves by the fixed point around which the stars rotate. Not memorizing any specific constellations at all in fine detail, learning instead the abstract underlying rule: whatever point the whole sky rotates around is north. This means the star compass works reliably anywhere at all on Earth, under virtually any night sky, in either hemisphere. It is a genuinely learned abstract principle. The star compass actively calibrates itself against the underlying magnetic sense during this same early critical period, locking the two separate systems together permanently. One system continuously cross-checks the other in real time. If the magnetic sense is somehow disrupted or confused, the star compass can still reliably hold the course. The third system at work is a sun compass, used quite constantly throughout the day, whenever the sky happens to be clear enough to see it. The sun moves steadily and continuously across the sky throughout the day, so using it reliably as a compass alone requires also knowing the exact time. Birds possess an internal circadian biological clock, precise enough to fully compensate for this constant, entirely predictable solar movement across the sky. This is formally called time-compensated sun compass orientation, and it has been experimentally confirmed many separate times over the past several decades. Even on heavily overcast days, birds can still detect the sky's underlying polarized light pattern, invisible to us, and extract useful directional cues. The fourth system, and perhaps the strangest of all, smell itself. Homing pigeons in particular appear to build an actual detailed odor map of their entire home loft. Pigeons that have had their sense of smell experimentally blocked show a dramatically impaired homing ability immediately afterward. This strongly suggests that certain geographic regions carry distinct, recognizable airborne chemical signatures that some birds genuinely learn to identify carefully over time. Some researchers also propose that low-frequency infrasound, entirely inaudible to human ears, carries genuinely usable landscape information for birds. This particular part of the overall science is genuinely less settled than the rest. Infrasound navigation remains an active and ongoing area of research today. Now, layer all four of these entirely separate systems together at once, and the overall resulting picture becomes genuinely remarkable to consider. A young, first-time migrant relies primarily on an inherited genetic program, essentially a fixed compass direction combined with a fixed flight duration. Fly this particular compass heading for roughly this many nights in a row, then stop and search for suitable habitat. That is the entire instruction. This remarkably simple genetic vector alone reliably gets a first-year bird into roughly the right general region of the entire continent it is ultimately heading toward. Then, once genuinely close to the destination, the finer-grained systems, smell, magnetic map, local landmarks take over for final precision. Adult birds, having successfully made this exact journey at least once before in their lives, add a genuine memory-based cognitive map layered right on top of all of this. Experienced adult birds can actively correct for wind drift, sudden storms, and unplanned detours in ways that inexperienced first-year birds simply cannot manage. First-year migrants, in these same careful displacement experiments, often simply continue flying in the now wrong original compass direction regardless. This crucial scientific distinction, a simple vector program versus a true cognitive map, was demonstrated experimentally by the Dutch researcher A.C. Perdek back in 1958. Perdek physically displaced thousands of migrating starlings sideways from their normal established route. Adult birds corrected course. Young birds simply did not. That single elegant experiment definitively proved that young birds simply fly a fixed heading, while experienced adults actively navigate toward an actual true destination goal. And yet the young birds still arrive somewhere genuinely survivable, most of the time regardless of the imprecision. The underlying genetic default is remarkably good. Not every single bird survives the journey, of course, not by a long way at all. Migration remains genuinely one of the most dangerous things any animal on Earth ever attempts. Storms, sheer physical exhaustion, artificial light pollution, and modern human structures all actively disrupt these ancient, carefully layered systems. City lights at night pose a particular and genuinely ongoing problem, actively drawing disoriented birds directly toward tall glass buildings during peak migration season each year. The very same systems that evolved gradually across millions of years now meet a rapidly changing modern world. Their distant ancestors never once had to navigate. Consider carefully what that young cuckoo from the very opening of this video actually carried inside its small body. 4 entirely separate compasses running together simultaneously. No lessons given at all, no memory to rely on, no teacher to follow. Just an inherited stack of separate systems checking each other, all the way to distant Africa. If this genuinely changed how you see the very next flock of birds passing overhead, subscribe. We keep pulling apart the hidden systems behind the wild. The wild mind is everywhere around us. Keep looking. I'll see you next time.